Well, President Obama supporting Sony Pictures' about-face decision to screen The Interview. The controversial movie will now play in a limited number of theaters around the country. That after the FBI blamed North Korea for the cyber attack on Sony and threats against moviegoers who see the comedy. President Obama vowed a response to Pyongyang, but what should that look like? Congressman Ed Royce is here, chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Thank you for being here, Congressman, on this Christmas Eve.
Thank you, Molly.
Well, let's start with the president's response. Apparently, he's fairly pleased. The White House saying that they welcome the decision made by Sony to go ahead and screen this movie. Your thoughts on that the movie will be on theaters?
Well, the reality is that, yes, the movies will be in theaters. I'll see it tomorrow myself. But at the same time, remember, North Korea is developing three-stage ICBMs. It's testing nuclear weapons. It's broken every agreement it's ever had on its nuclear program. And it's trying to hack into our infrastructure, including our energy grid. So I would say the response actually should be to put the types of financial sanctions back on North Korea that we once imposed in 2005 after we caught them counterfeiting our $100 bills. The advantage of that is that we would shut down the hard currency that North Korea needs, not only for its nuclear weapons program and for this dictator to pay his generals, but it would also cut off the funding to Bureau 121, which is, their 3,000 cyber agents that they pay out of that bureau. Let's get serious about our response here.
What can we do about North Korea's allies? They're a fairly isolated country in many respects.
Right. And one of the difficulties we have is, of course, North Korea, in order to get this expertise, does send its young hackers off to Moscow. In the past, they've sent them to Beijing. Certainly, they have used the Chinese servers in order to access the Internet here in the United States. So we are putting pressure on Moscow and on Beijing. But at the same time, what I think we should really focus on is what we can do with the types of sanctions we put on Burma, for example. We put 10 times the sanctions on Burma that we've ever put on North Korea. And what was the result? We got action. South Africa, years ago, when they were developing the bomb, sanctions were put by the U.S. Congress on South Africa. The result was South Africa not only ended apartheid, but gave up their nuclear weapons. So I think we should be looking at long-range solutions that will actually shut down their nuclear program as well as their clandestine program to hack into our energy grid.
Well, shifting gears to Guantanamo Bay, the Obama administration has been working to shut down Guantanamo Bay. They've been transferring or releasing some of the detainees there. Just not so long ago, we all remember the trade that was made for Army Sergeant Bo Bergdahl. Do you have concerns about what these released detainees or traded detainees might ultimately accomplish one day? Are they dangerous and continue to be dangerous?
Molly, 30%, between 25 and 30% of these individuals end up back on the battlefield. And those are the ones that we know about. So we know that those who we hold right now in custody, the remaining 150, are the worst of the worst. Now, we also know the president is, he's obsessed with this idea of getting them out of U.S. custody and transferring them to other countries, but we don't have an effective system of keeping tabs on them, and that is why they keep ending up on the battlefield. I think this is one of the reasons why Chuck Hagel, as our Secretary of Defense, was pushed out. As you know, he resisted this idea that we should speed along these combatants and transfer them back to countries like Qatar or Afghanistan, where, frankly, we'll have little ability to monitor them. So yes, I'm very concerned.
The people that were held at Gitmo are, and some of them still being held at Gitmo, are alleged gun smugglers that have allegedly attacked American troops and threatened kidnappings. The U.S. now offering a $5 million reward for a terrorist released from Guantanamo Bay about 8 years ago, apparently back in action even as the Obama administration tries to close the doors there in the detention center. Are you concerned about the Obama administration's ability to track these individuals as they get out in the world?
Yes, we are. And as you'll recall, it's not just this particular gun runner that now we've offered a stipend to try to bring him back into custody. But in Afghanistan, we had al-Baghdadi in custody at one point. Now, he is currently the head of ISIS. So it's a little reminder that these terrorist combatants that we find on the battlefield, they're unreconstructed enthusiasts for terrorism. And so when they're released, we shouldn't be that surprised that such a large percentage of them show up in planning additional attacks or end up being killed on the battlefield, attacking our troops or attacking our allies. And so, yes, this to me represents a situation where we have bipartisan support in the Congress. Democrats and Republicans do not want to see Guantanamo shut down. We do not want to see those 150 enemy combatants there released. And yet the president is on the other side of this argument, working very diligently in order to try to move the toughest of what we've come up against over into countries like Qatar. You and I know that Qatar is not going to monitor, you know, these ex-Taliban and in 4 of these cases, ex-Al-Qaeda fighters.
All right. Congressman Ed Royce, thank you so much for joining us. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, Molly.